What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Season 5, Episode 1 of The Climb. I'm excited. Joining me this week, once again, Mr. Array. How's it going?
It's going well.
Great.
Enough.
That's good to hear. And joining us this week, Mr. Logic.
What's up?
Welcome. Welcome to The Climb, a returning guest.
Yes.
You
Both of us
excited?
are.
You liking
Sure,
how your
how you
team's...
feeling about this season?
Yeah, how you feeling about this season?
It's to be seen yet. I don't know, honestly. I mean, I know there's one thing I know is that me and my bot lane will be fine. Everything else are question marks to me. We'll see how it plays out. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. Well, don't you worry. We'll talk about your team and everyone else's team because draft is finished. But
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Allegedly, it's finished.
But I actually wanna, before we head into the teams and everyone there, I want to talk about a couple undrafted players that I was kind of surprised that kind of went undrafted, but I think they're not like solid players. I just don't think they should have gotten more respect. I think just to start off, Heiko going undrafted. You know, a player who's shown time and time again that he's a very competent carry player, but not showing up in any teams. Array, kind of give me like some introspective, like why did you not consider Heiko?
So it's funny you said why would I not? Because I highly was considering Heiko, and I was DMing him at my last pick. I was like, "Listen, man, it's between you and Sporadic. I need to know something. I need to know that you're here." And he did not message me back.
Really?
so
Okay, so
unfortunate for him.
So he fumbled the bag, is what you're saying?
I don't know if he fumbled the bag, but I definitely was considering Heiko for a large portion of the draft.
Mm-hmm.
At least from my perspective, things got really fucked when. Sorry if I can't say that.
No, you're good.
Things got
fuck
really
you.
messed up.
Fuck you.
Things got really messed up when KibCat decided to do the old switcheroo and take Sporadic from underneath. So we'll see how that goes for them. But
well,
yeah,
I can kind of give you some little details. Is we actually they will Sporadic wanted, or not Sporadic, Sprinklrr actually wanted Loco Poco, so when KibCat picked him, I was like, well, I guess we're screwed. But and
damn.
And then Sprinklrr was like, well, what's our new mid laner? And I was like, yo, why don't you just DM KibCat and be like, hey, what do you want to trade for that? And Sporadic just happened to be the guy, I guess. So
Yeah, I mean that is a
it's
way
your fault.
to do it.
So, no. Okay,
I don't
technically
think it's his
yes.
fault.
Actually, if you want to blame anyone, I guess it's my fault because
No, I'm just kidding.
Sprinklrr didn't even know. It was like, oh shit, I didn't even think of that.
I think that was more of a captain not reading the response sheet problem more than anything. But
Fair enough.
Let's get back on track for the people that went undrafted. I wasn't really surprised by any of them, to be honest. Every
Really?
single one of them has a good reason to not be drafted.
yeah, the
Okay.
problem with Injustice and Dandy getting undrafted was that they were so adamant on playing with each other, and I was highly considering either of them.
I don't even think
But
that was really the issue. I just think that Injustice was gone for a long time, didn't play the game. He also has the red flags of wife, kid, and like full-time job and just life responsibilities that would make things a bit harder to like have him work into the team. And on top of that, I think he's like 2 or 3 champions competent, or not competent, but
Yeah.
like at his peak. So and for the value that he was put at, it like he's being valued for those 2 or 3 champions essentially. And I
Yeah.
don't think that those 2 or 3 champions are like what is it, Renekton, Gnar, and then like something else, whatever. And those are the types of champions that I don't know. I just don't see them being like, they're not really like team oriented, but they're not really like, I'm gonna carry the game, I'm a carry top laner type thing. It's just kind of like an in between, like, oh, Like and for the value that he was at, you couldn't really
Okay.
justify
Yeah.
drafting him.
I like that.
Heiko at 7 also. You said that he is a proven carry threat. I actually disagree with that. I think he is a proven
Coin flipper.
uh
He's gonna say
not
liabilities. What he's gonna say.
I wasn't really gonna say liability. I was going to say like he's proven that he cannot be the carry of the team. He
Mm.
needs help with that. He's never been able to do it himself. And when you're 7 or below, I think you need to be like hey, I'm going to like the game is going to warp because I'm in it type thing. And I
Okay.
don't think that he is that at all. And I think he's a great player. I think at like 9, 10, 11, he would have been
Oh, he would have
hella
been drafted
value.
first round
Yes.
for sure.
But the lower and lower you get, the harder it gets. And then
Mm.
who else do you have on there?
I got
he
Majin
got
Hollow just because
Finity is the same story. His champ
yeah.
pool top lane requires attention. It requires help. It's not. It's like he's a carry top laner, but he's not a carry top laner the same level as someone like Owen, who
Right.
warps the game just being in it. Like and you can't justify that point value drafting him, and then require to have to play around him like that. Like I don't know.
Right.
I understand completely why he wasn't drafted.
And just a couple other players before we move on. Like I just have Majin Hollow just because in the who's echoing? Oh, it's Array.
That might be me.
Yeah, it's
sorry.
Array. It's just like in the combine, I thought he showed a lot of promise, and so maybe he could show up. But the other person I have is Dragontooth. I actually think, even though he's a silver player, I think he's a really good budget pick. I mean, 22 was very large, but I still think he's a great solid player.
Yeah.
Granted, he
Maybe.
plays into
I don't know
like
enough about him.
yeah.
The only thing I
played
know
with him a
about
few
him
times.
was when he was on the Steris team the one time, and that whole situation was cursed because it just seemed like he was almost being like abused on that team.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people didn't want to draft him because they didn't want to do that to such a nice person, you know. Because every time I've had him in a call, he's genuinely like one of the nicest, like happy-go-lucky people you can have.
Yeah, he's very chill.
I mean, I think he would have been a pretty good pickup for like a 20-point player. You know, if you really just needed someone to play a role, and you have a bunch of people on your team that are cracked out of their minds, I think a Dragontooth pickup was more than justified. But alas.
I'll also just say it was really hard for the captains. Like I'm gonna be honest, the way this whole thing was set up, it was really hard for captains to like be able to predict what the other captains are gonna do and like justify a pick at this time, and like you could very easily mess things up by taking certain risks, and
Right.
it
I thought the draft
but
was
like
really
I can't
cool
really
though.
blame anybody for it, you know.
Yeah, I thought the draft was really cool though. I thought like, even though it's snake draft, but it's like a different take on snake draft sort of style, and like you have to hit a minimum amount of points by the end of it. And so you're like seeing all these like crazy picks. Like I mean, I got picked in the second round, which was not where I was expecting to get picked, if at
Really?
all.
I thought you were one of the best value picks on the whole list as far as like what you'd be getting for what the amount of points that you're spending.
Yeah, I think putting yourself as Phil was actually a pretty good move in retrospect, you know.
Well,
because
I changed my role 3 times, by the way. Before I signed up as a top laner, and then I said screw it, I'll play ADC, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm not having any fun playing anything right now, so I'll just play Phil and see the luck of the dice.
I think if you put yourself as
when
ADC,
I just said that, when I just said that, I meant that as a top laner, though. I don't think that you would have been worth it for anything else. I actually probably wouldn't want you on the team, anything else. I think top lane you are very solid at playing into people that are higher ranked, lower point values, whatever, and you can bring a lot of value to a team by just being exactly that.
I'd agree. I think you're a solid rock for your team, almost every team, as long as you're not playing jungle. Sorry, but
okay, listen. I was just a Maokai game, 2 Maokai games. Listen, I was not prepared.
It's okay.
I was not prepared.
But then when we saw you play on, I forget the team, on 2EZ's team with Noah and everyone, and then you got role swap the top lane. It was night and day. In my opinion.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was definitely expecting you to go top lane, but yeah, I mean a lot of these other, even like some of the other people who put Phil didn't get picked up. Like I don't, what was the 11 point
There
value guy?
was
Yeah, the guy that played a lot
Local
of
peasant.
ADC. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was.
I was expecting. I was actually. I had him going in almost all my mock drafts, and Serenade. I was expecting Serenade to get picked up. So I mean, it's just the thing was like Ryan said, there was a lot of thinking the captains had to do, and it was like on a whim.
right.
Like
Yeah.
I know like 80% of my draft was on a whim.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. But with that, let's head into the team. So to my left on everyone's screens, or I guess right, whatever. It's swapped for me. Yeah, you see all the teams, all their lineups, and we're gonna go through them. And I actually ranked all of them. I didn't ask these guys to, but starting off with Group A, McMammals. Three really strong lanes. With John Dye, Pyrosis, Nico, and then Spirit Man in the bot lane, and then honestly, just a jungler that will just play for the team. Kind of a budget jungler, but I definitely think he's still solid. So we'll kind of see how they'll shape up. I actually have this team going first in Group A. I know I didn't rank my team first, but I think McMammals is definitely a solid team and someone we're going to need to watch out for. Logic. Let's hear your thoughts on McMammals.
I'm going to go against what most everybody has been saying, to be honest, just because I have yet to see anything out of the two highest ranked players on this team of Pyrosis and Nico to prove that they can consistently perform throughout a series at a high level to like win a game for their team, essentially. Now,
Okay.
at least against any kind of resistance, when they can beat up on bad or like lower teams, sure, but anytime they play against somebody that is like puts up any kind of fight or resistance to them, I feel like they oftentimes fall, and that's just what has happened essentially in the past.
Okay.
Now the rest of the team, I don't really know that much about. Great, like I think Spirit Man is Nico's friend. If they have something going on down there that makes them a really strong bot lane, I think that's great for Nico, and I think it's his best opportunity to prove that he can actually be the guy on the team. I'd really like to see Pyrosis recognize that he has teammates and the game doesn't have to revolve around what like his decision making, and if he can play with his team and like actually do what you're supposed to do to win a game with the team instead of just doing what he normally does and just looking for fights and coin flipping like the memes are, then I think that this team can be very good. Like I can see why people would rank them as probably the strongest team in the league. I just think that they could also be very bad.
Okay. Fair input. I actually like that. All right, Ray. Hit me with it. What's your thoughts on McMammals?
They look pretty. I mean, I think a lot of what Ryan was saying is a lot of the thoughts I have, but I do think PyPy has shown that he, like, again, I think mid lane is kind of stacked, but there's a lot more competition to beat up on in this group. If you look at the mid laners in this group, it looks like PyPy's the best mid laner. So I wouldn't say he's gonna have a hard time with any of these mid laners. He might get caught on surprise. I think he might have a hard time with like random competency like picks. Like maybe like what's the guy's name? NAQI might have like a pocket pick and PyPy just runs at it and dies. But I feel like he's gonna.
Yeah, I think he's struggled against neutralizing picks like that, though, right? That's the main thing you said. Sorry to interrupt.
Similar to what you never saw play against World Soup.
Exactly.
So I'm expecting Pyrosis to actually beat a lot of these players. I'm expecting him to be the best mid laner in this thing, and if he's not, then his team doesn't look as good as everyone's saying.
I would also make an argument for yourself, though. Like, I think, like, top three, it's, like, maybe PyPy, you, and Naki, and maybe Odysseus is, like a very close fourth. I like Loco Poco. I'm still very unsure of, so I don't know where he kind of sits. But then I think like Vossler and Frost, they're kind of just there in this team
Sure.
in like mid lane for like just group A alone. So, but let's move on. Sprinklrrs, Tinklrrs. I'm not really gonna say a whole lot about my team just because I'm also still unsure of how this team will go. But I put my team second. I gotta have that little bit of the copium.
Yeah, it's pretty cope.
I think we're gonna win, but I don't think we go undefeated.
What makes you say, yes, my off-roll jungle and my off-roll mid laner are really gonna take me over the line here?
Sprinklrr actually plays jungle. He just rather play top. Loco, I'm still unsure of. I think Thim is gonna play solid. Enderfridge, I actually think he's a really good support. I just think he's he doesn't have a voice, I think. So if he has like someone like Thim,
That's kind of important for a support player to have. I don't know.
No.
I will say,
he's a
I've
good
seen-
follower. He's a good follower.
I've seen some Enderfridge gameplay, and I will concur that he is a pretty solid support player, especially for his value.
Yeah, I think Thim is gonna unlock Enderfridge. I have faith. So, yeah,
That's an oxymoron, but yeah,
Well,
go on.
My biggest question for this team is who does Sprinklrr play for? Because I don't think you're a carry. I don't think Loco is a carry. I don't think Thim is really like a strong carry.
Mhm.
Is he gonna just play for himself?
I hope his Nidalee's really good. That's all I can say.
I don't know.
Those
like I
are my
said, I have
questions
no
for-
clue about this team because we have not practiced yet. Because Sprinklrr is out right now because he doesn't have a computer, so we have not been able to practice.
We'll say Sprinklr's a homie though.
He is a
we've been
homie.
chatting it up in DMs.
But I
about
guess
our
if
game.
he is a good enough jungler to just win every lane for his team, then you don't really need a carry when your whole team is just stronger.
Right.
But otherwise, like the way that Summit at least has predominantly worked is like there are the stronger players that are played around by the rest of their team. That is what has found
We
the
saw it
most
in
success.
GPR.
Yes, and on Roblins Goblins as well. You played around your bot lane, right? Like the last couple winners have proven that is the best way to find success in this league. And I don't know what this team plays around. Like I maybe you guys will figure it out, but from the eye test of just looking at the roster, I'm not sure yet. So
Okay. All right. You got anything else? Or you just want to move on? All right. Let's move on.
Thoughts.
Well, we'll beat you this week, so don't worry. And then you'll have some thoughts. Anyways, moving on. Alan and the Chipmunks. I have this team fourth in the group, but honestly, given a lot of Krusty Trap vibes, if anyone remembers that team. But I just a little bit better teammates. You don't have two bronze solo laners this time. You have like I think a emeralds. I think is
You have a
Doki.
gold 4 and an emerald 4.
Yeah, so you have a much better solo lanes, which is good, but from there I just don't really know what else you play for. But you have a really good bot lane. I mean, I think it's like a Masters and another Masters, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
really
Lightsphere,
really good bot lane.
I've heard good things about, and King Caterwall popped off in the combine like really hard. So I'm high on both of them.
Yeah, I have him fourth, just because the team I have at third. I gotta remember who I have at third. Did I not put them on the list?
I will say I think this team. It's so obvious what they want to do. That,
Right.
Like their game plan is so obvious. Like they just want to sit in bot lane. So I haven't told many people about this strategy we used to have in like CLOL and stuff, but our B team for my college would have like we would play Morgana Yuumi bot lane because our bot lane was literally like plat 4. So I think something like if you just have something that could just sit there and chill versus a team, I don't know how they play. They just gotta like win team fights or something randomly.
Right.
For me to speak on that though, I think that this bot lane is good enough that you can try, but you're not going to be able to do something like that effectively. I think this is the best bot lane in this group.
Oh,
King
without a doubt.
Caterwall, I played with him in the combine, and I was very impressed not just by like how he was playing, but also just how vocal he was about exactly what he needed from his teammates and like what uh and like what he wanted his support and just everything around him. Like he was very vocal, and I appreciated that. I was just sitting on a Lowy top, but whatever.
He's very
Um,
flexible too. There's a lot
yes,
of
and that was
champions.
the other thing. That's my biggest question though. Is he flexible in that he's actually going to like be effective doing all these things, or is he going to hurt it? Like sometimes trying to be too flexible can be hurting yourself by like
Yeah.
instead of just finding something that works and sticking to it, right?
Mm.
So, but that's a little bit of a question. But I also don't think that the whole like this team is very obvious. I don't think that that's always a bad thing. Like if you're good enough, just having a game plan and sticking to it and just saying prove to us that the other teams can even stop this from working.
Yeah,
Like
it could brute force.
yes, exactly. If I think that that's what they should try to do, because I think that they are good enough, especially in this group, to basically do exactly that. Vossler is going to be the Asuna of this team. OT Gator, if he just plays around his bot lane, like this team reminds me very much so of Goblin Goblin, and
Straight out the
maybe
book.
maybe not as good, but
Mm. Okay.
it's the
We'll
same
have to see.
recipe. It's the
We'll
same
have to see.
recipe, even if the ingredients might not be as good, the recipe is the same. So
Yeah, I'm interested to see how off-roll Doki does. We'll see, because he's a rookie, so we'll see how he can perform in that top side. Moving on, Gawr's first grade class instead of kindergarten class. It's now first grade class. I have him third in the group.
I
Um,
love the team name, honestly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Let's do
hope.
second grade next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I hope Gawr is the captain next season, and we have the second grade class now.
We're gonna all be 30, and he's gonna
Yeah.
be like, "Oh, they finally graduated."
Yeah, we're finally at college, guys. But solid team. Not sure how Gawr will play in the top side. I did play against him in like a customs. I played Ornn and he played Briar top. This is a very interesting matchup. Adolfo, very unsure of. Odysseus, solid player.
That's a way to say his name.
That's it's ADOFL. So just
Yeah.
and then
It's like
Jason.
we make ad revenue or something.
Yeah, whatever. Jason playing like a third or fourth role stop, I think. I don't know how many roles this guy's played in like the 4 seasons he's been in. And then Brissy, he's not playing top lane this season. He's playing support. So I'm excited to see what support Brissy will bring into the bot lane.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about this team actually. So when I was doing a lot of my mock drafts, I actually had Gawr's team actually probably being the best team like 8 out of 10 times.
Really?
And this team is not one of those 8 out of 10 times. So I liked it better when Jason was jungling. I'm sure he's competent at AD carry. I mean,
It's not hard.
it's not that hard. But the question marks for me are honestly their jungler more than Brissy in the support role. I honestly think Brissy might peak higher in support than he could in top lane. I just think I've played with him a little bit support, and I think he's very solid at it naturally. But like if you coach him up, I feel like he could be like that could be where he finds his stride in a way. But their jungler, I have no thoughts about that guy because I have not even like looked at his op.gg. I've not seen him play any games, so it's a big question mark for me.
A little like inside, he used to be called like Woof Woof or something like that, and he used to be a Warwick one trick. And if like it ever got banned, he said like this is just what I've heard, but he would like pick something troll and like run it down. Is what I've heard.
Sounds like a great pickup.
So I have no. That's just what I've heard, but we'll see. Ryan, got any thoughts on this?
I don't know. It comes down to the same question of like, solo laners are not really like strong carries. And then you have a bot lane that I don't think is super strong. While I think that they'll be solid, I don't think that they're gonna be anywhere close to like King
Lightsphere.
Caterwall, Lightsphere, or Nico and Spirit. And I think that yeah, they could probably beat the others, but like I think this team would need somewhere that is like really strong, and I don't see that anywhere.
Right.
I think that they're kind of just like maybe a above average bot lane,
Mm-hmm.
slightly below average mid lane, maybe average mid lane. Like I don't know. I think that a lot of these junglers are really fake, honestly, in my opinion, as far as just like whether or not they're going to be an effective jungler in this league.
Gotcha.
And then Gawr is what can he? He's the biggest question mark on this team, in my opinion.
Right.
I will say I think
How
I've
effective
seen
he
a
is.
bit of Gawr top lane. Think honestly that's probably one of his strongest roles. So I'm not
Good.
too concerned about Gawr being in top lane. I think if you look at
Well,
this pool,
The group,
the only
yeah.
person
I
he
was
has to
gonna say
worry
the
about
same.
is one
Exactly.
kick.
But that's the thing though, is then like is he going to be playing carry top laners? Is he going to be playing champions that are going
I
to
would if I
be
was
able to
him.
do like how effective is he on these types of champions? Like that, there's a lot of things that come into play on being a successful team. It's
Mm-hmm.
really
I would
nuanced
agree.
and it's really hard to say.
Right.
I think they look pretty solid. I would say probably like third or fourth makes sense.
Right.
I wouldn't say that's because they look super powerful. I think it's just because they're mostly like covered and solid
Mm-hmm.
players.
Yeah, I can agree with that because I don't think this group is very strong. So I can see them being like
Yeah,
third or
I
fourth.
would agree. It's like Pool A is definitely seems like weaker individuals than Group B for
I mean,
sure.
after last season, we needed I deserved that because I played against all the quarterfinal. I played against every semifinalist in my group,
So, moving on,
and then we played the best team in the other group.
yeah, and then we got Bewear Gaming. I have him 7th, and to be honest, I'm not really looking anywhere else besides that bot lane. You know, Yuhuzi. Sorry. Good luck. That's all I really got for you, pal.
I mean, their bot lane's still a question mark for me as well.
Yeah, it's
This is the team I know like the least about, so I don't really.
Yeah.
yeah.
I just know the only one I really know is like Barbecue Leona,
Right,
and I
yeah.
don't think that Barbecue Leona impressed me ever, even on Leona. So
Speaking of unknowns, heading over to rookies and cream, just really unknown team for me. It's literally all the rookies besides the boy
It's me
array.
plus VLN squad, honestly.
Yeah. So what would you should just name it VLN point two.
Well, we were gonna do the Washington League Ball team, but I wanted my teammates to have a say in their
Oh, okay, gotcha,
their
gotcha.
name. So, I guess I'll talk about my team. I kind of feel bad that we slipped over Bewear Gaming. So real quick, I do think that they have a lot of question marks. I've heard good things about their mid laner. Yuhuzi in an off role. I know he plays a lot of top lane. He played a lot in the Fury top lane. So that'll be really interesting to see him in an off role. I've heard good things about Firestorm as well. I heard he's really solid for his rank. So I think it could be like a pleasant surprise team. But for my team, I definitely think it's a team that doesn't look particularly strong on paper, but like it has the potential to also just grow and grow and grow. Especially because we have, I think, 7 regular season games. So I'm kind of excited about my team. I like the idea of having a bunch of rookies and people who are just eager to play, which is the best thing about my team, to be honest. They're very eager to play and get better. So I have faith.
Nice. You got any notes, Logic, for rookies?
I hope Touch Vigor is good. That's all I'll say.
All right. Moving on. Oh, by the way, I have rookies and cream. Sorry, at 5th, just because a lot of unknowns. Just put you in the middle of the pack. We'll see where you get placed next week. But round out some admin. 6 in the group. Frost is a really big unknown for me. Cookie's returning, but going into that jungle role, which we've seen him play top and support mainly. So we'll see how he does that. And I think Strain and Tubby, I think, are just going to be a solid bot lane. Not going to win a whole lot of lanes, but isn't going to like totally lose lanes either. But we'll mostly play to that top side. I mean, One Cake I think I ranked him second in power rankings this week, just because Owen is in the league. He's going to be a scary person to deal with, especially with whose jungler is. So we'll see how Wancake
Good
does.
thing Wancake doesn't have to play against Owen, right? And honestly, I feel like, and this might be my hot take, but I've seen Wancake play. I'm very high on the Wancake stocks. I think picking him early made a lot of sense for Strand. And I think putting this team as low as you have is kind of criminal in a way. And I get why, because you're like, oh, it's Strand, Toby, bot lane. Like, they can't do anything into this group. I think that's confusing, honestly, because this group doesn't have necessarily that strong of bot lanes either. So, and their top laner is the best top laner in the league. So I feel like putting them at 6 is kind of...
Wow,
criminal.
you think he beats Owen?
I don't think he beats Owen per se. I haven't seen enough of Owen play. I mean, we need to keep in mind, I'm not that old.
You're
I
old.
haven't seen.
You're old enough.
He didn't see Owen completely dumpster the whole league.
Oh, well.
Yeah, but I'm not saying I think Owen would not beat this guy. I'm saying I think this guy has the potential to be like in that tier of player, like top 1, top 2.
Right. Any thoughts, Logic?
I think that this is gonna have to be the cookies and cake show. Like they should have named themselves something about dessert. Yeah, something
Yeah.
like.
They should have been Rookies and Cream, honestly.
I just again, Strand has shown that like with strong teammates he can come in as an ADC and bring the damage for team fights that are necessary, like that the team needs to win games. He's shown that, but he's never shown to be able to like take over a bot lane or like even against people that he should be better than or like just as good as. I've never really seen him like win convincingly a bot lane. Tubby is kind of going to be huge for the success of this team, in my opinion. Like just as much as the jungle and the top lane, the champions that Tubby decides to play, how much Tubby decides to leave bot lane, the windows of when Tubby does, like the decision making of Tubby is going to be massive as to the success of the team.
Okay.
I will also say, I'm not saying because I'm Tubby's friend or anything, but I think Tubby's one of the better supports. Especially, I mean, on paper, you look at it, you're like, Light Sphere, Spirit Man. I think Tubby, honestly, is probably a third best support here. And I think they might.
What about BBQ Leona?
Champion pool.
What about BBQ Leona?
I haven't seen enough from BBQ Leona to comfortably say I want to put this person in the top 3.
Okay. It might have been a bad season from BBQ Leona, the summit season they played. But yeah, there was nothing about that season that made me sit here and be like, oh, I expect great things from them coming into here.
Right.
If that makes sense.
If you told me if nameplates were off and you said that's a Diamond 4 support player and it was BBQ Leona, I wouldn't have been surprised.
Well, they're peak masters now. So that's what they weren't last time they played, but they might have improved a lot.
Yeah.
Who knows? But based off of what we know about them, I don't have high expectations.
Well, he did spend the season with Nico, so maybe he's learned some things from Nico.
Maybe.
So, but I mean, he's got a tough challenge. He's got Yuhuzi, so good luck. I hope you can find success. Moving on, and that's all for Group A. Moving on to Group B. Starting off with Final Boss. Roblin's Goblins, in my opinion, just downgraded. You have 3 out of the 5 members. I think Kameya's a nice upgrade from, I guess, Lord Kobayashi. But then you're swapping to Asuna top, so Mia's coming into the mid lane.
Which is an upgrade in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely an upgrade for sure. But then the kind of big one is Alturas is coming in for Dean.
The Dean at home.
Yeah, so I think Alturas is a really good player, but I don't think he will be able to fit Dean's shoes, and it's just the reality
who is going to fit Dean's shoes? And let's think about where did that team's success really come from? Was it just from Dean? I mean, the way you're making it, like a lot of people make it sound, is like Dean had 4 monkeys on his team and he carried them, you know. So I mean, at the end of the day, you need to have like teammates to take you
Right.
over the finish line. I don't care if you're 20-0, you're not beating a 1v5. Like, you know what I mean?
So
So
the main thing that Dean brought to that team, not so much as like winning across the map for us, because I mean there were some games where his map impact were huge, but the main thing that he brought was the fact that him and Rob were confident that they could just out 2v2 every single bot lane there was. And just by like sheer hands and like understanding of the lane state and just all these things, right? And on top of that, the fact that I played around them and like was down
Right.
there and giving them the confidence of like, okay, we know we can make these plays because if enemy jungler, enemy mid laner shows up, we have backup type thing. So that was the main formula for success for the old team with Dean. Now, I will say Garrett and Rob have played way more games together than Dean and Rob have.
Right.
They still try to do that same formula. Is it as effective? Maybe not quite. I mean, no offense, Garrett is not Dean. Dean is an amazing, amazing player. Um, However, they are still very strong together. They still dominate bot lanes pretty
I
hard,
think
more
the
often
thing
than not.
that's very obvious about this team is like their bot lane champion synergy is very apparent. You know, like
Hmm.
the champions really work well together, and therefore they should work together very well. So
Yes, and so where I think that the biggest difference between Dean and Garrett will be is Dean's understanding of going and helping the like timings of when he would go and help top lane and mid lane. Because the amount of times that like I would come bot lane and get them a massive lead, get them a very favorable bot lane wave state for Dean to then go back, leave, and go to another lane and transfer my presence in bot lane to one of the other solo lanes and help fix a wave state. Get rid of a freeze, like hover them when they are potentially being like dived, right? Like
Right.
that was the main, like that was one of the key things that he did that I want to see if Garrett can do, because I think that is high elo, like GM challenger level stuff. Now the actual like bot lane dominance, I think that Garrett can do pretty damn well with that. And I
Hmm.
will also say Dean himself, because we still all talk, that whole group has said that Garrett is very good in that regards.
Right.
He is very high on Garrett he thinks that Garrett is genuinely the second best support in this league. Like that's how high he is on Garrett.
Really
Um,
nice.
but yes, obviously still has to fill giant shoes and that Dean will be leaving behind for this team. Um, I think the bigger questions are our top lane champion pool, what kind of champions we're going to be playing up there,
I'm
and
busy.
then
your mid lane champion
Sorry.
pool is different too.
yeah, and then how effective can Hameya be, or will we have a third carry? Will I be needing to play carry junglers? Will I be playing more like utility junglers? What these are questions that we will figure out throughout the season.
Right.
Yep.
Um. Yeah, I think you pretty much said everything. So let's move on. Oh, by the way, I have you guys second in the group, and that's just.
Okay.
I think
I don't
that's.
care where we finish in the group so long as we make playoffs, and from there it's all about just winning.
Yep.
So
So, moving on, World Soup Center. Uh, I honestly just think it's gonna be the Owen and Hootie show. World Soup, solid mid laner. I think he's just gonna be kind of another rock in the mid lane. And then Bird Person and Sloth, just kind of unknown. Haven't really heard a whole lot about him. I know of Sloth, but Bird Person, no clue. I've tried to look at his op.gg, but it just hasn't like worked for some reason.
you
Uh,
said you've heard of Sloth?
yeah,
I would hope so.
yeah,
She's
yeah. I've heard of her.
okay. Yeah,
That's
okay,
what
so
said.
you haven't seen any of the times she's played?
No.
So she,
Nice.
sh- she was, when she played a lot more in the past, she was like high gold, low plat, I believe, back in the old rankings. Apparently she was pretty good back then. She plays a lot of Bard as well. I think that's why Colin also got into Bard. Um, we've had her sub in for my team one time. I think it was 2 seasons ago, and she was I mean, basically, wasn't a liability, did everything needed with Heiko in our bot lane to be an effective support. Like, there wasn't anything glaring that was like, oh, this is a low elo support.
Right.
However, she was filling into a team, so I feel like she was quiet because of that.
Mm.
Uh, may, maybe she's won't be as like outspoken as you'd like out of a support player, just because she might be a bit shy. I don't know. I don't know her personality that well. Based off of texts in the Discord, she doesn't seem that shy. So I would hope that she'd be speaking up and be very vocal, because your support is kind of needed to be talking when they're going to be moving around the map and stuff.
Right.
But
Sure.
I don't know. I know people had her really low in the rankings, but I think it's just because there's a lot of good, like decent supports and good
Yeah.
supports. But
Right.
I don't think that she's like a clear liability by any means.
Especially
So
for a point value. When you look at most of the people who were drafted at like 18, 19, or whatever,
yeah.
a lot of them were like, oh, this guy's probably a liability to have on this team. I mean, any
Right.
lower than 18, you're like, oh,
Yeah, that's kind of what you're
don't want this
expecting. Like
person.
that's why you're spending that money, is so that you can get somebody that you know is going to be like a game warping player, and then like you're gonna have a clear weakness somewhere. Like that's how it has to balance, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Wawa Warriors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yep. Or I was gonna say if you had anything, Mr. Array, but
No,
that's
I
fine.
mean, it's mostly question marks for me.
Mm.
yeah, I
I
don't
do
know
think,
outside of
I
Owen
will
is gonna
say,
dominate.
World Soup's been a really solid stabilizing mid laner for a couple seasons now. And he's never struck me as a bad player. He
Mm.
will play with the team always pretty well. Um, I think Hootie is a good solid pickup. I've seen his Lee Sin, pretty freaking clean, guys. So I would love to see the Owen Hootie dynamic. I imagine it's gonna be fireworks. I would be pretty high on this team.
Yeah. Don't worry. I have to play against them in 1 week. In the cross match week. So I'm
True.
gonna get the. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get
just
the
let us know how that
old.
goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. That episode. I'm just gonna be.
Oh,
I'll be standing that week.
I yeah, I have one last thing because I didn't really talk much on like the rest of the team. So, um, I know earlier I said that a lot of the jungle pool was like really fake and not as good as like just based off of like ranks or whatever. But I do think that the three that were the exceptions for that, in my opinion, were Morn, Hootie, and Solpan. And so I think that those three are like, okay, you kind of know what you're getting from them. Like these are very solid, good players that are like going to be very effective coming out of the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think Hootie is going to be one of the forces, and unfortunately he's in my group. Well, all four of us are in the same group actually.
Yeah.
So,
So.
but
Well,
I
the
mean,
badge.
Owen's going to be Owen. He's going to dominate every single top laner in this league. It's just
Yeah.
I don't see a single top laner in this league that will not get dumpstered by him.
I would say
So
in his group, like One Cake, like what I've heard. I mean, he sounds like a good player, but yeah, I agree. Like Owen's gonna be dangerous, but gotta move on to Wawa Warriors. I actually have them
mhm.
seventh. Just because like this whole like group B is definitely the juggernaut pool for sure. And honestly, it's not because of him specifically, but I just like Bertel is like really unknown for me. Like he is going to be mostly on that tank duty, but like looking at a lot of the players he's got to play against, I think he's gonna struggle. I think the only like people he's not gonna struggle against is maybe VLN and maybe Isaac, but I'm not totally sure who Isaac is yet. Um, but we'll kind of see. And basically, all I said was just prove me wrong, Wawa Warriors. Uh,
All right, I'll go.
yeah.
I'm not super high on this team. I I don't think that I think Cyril is probably very good. I don't know that much about him. I'm assuming that he's probably a very good ADC, but again, bot lane is a two-man show, and will
Right.
the pairing of a Cyril and his support, how strong will they be? Will they be strong enough to have a Cyril be like a significant carry threat? Because you're not going to get it out of your mid lane or your top lane at all. Is Morn going to be playing carry like significant threats out of the jungle? Is he going to be? Are you like these are the
Yeah.
questions? Can Morn do that? Probably, but we'll see. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
it's just a lot of weight is going to be on Morn and Cyril's shoulders. That's basically it. And can they consistently perform well enough to bring this team to victory, essentially?
Right.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about Sifra though. Actually,
I
I've
don't
heard
know
he's
much about Cypherus, so.
So I was looking into him for my draft. Unfortunately, they got picked right before I wanted to get them. Fun fact about them: they're also really proficient at mid lane, and it seems like it's actually the preferred role.
And they're probably a
And-
good support.
Yeah, I was about to say I have a philosophy that mid laners make the best
Yeah.
field players.
I agree.
I was a mid laner for a very long time, and I've played every role to like, I would say at least a Diamond 3 level. So I mean,
Mhm.
if I had to autofill a player, and he picked support at his sign up, and he's a mid laner inherently, I'd feel
Mhm.
pretty confident about him, and I feel like he might be like one of those players that randomly smashes every lane he plays in,
Nice.
especially with that strong of an AD carry.
Yeah, I do think that this is the other strong, like really strong bot lane aside from Goblin and Alturas.
Right.
So.
At least in that group, I do think.
Mm.
Shout out to Sporadic and PvP
yeah,
and
and-
Luton and Big Dummy. I mean, that's a juggernaut bot lane as well.
Right.
So
If you say so.
I mean,
I
sorry, were we not glazing Dean a little bit ago? You're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's all right now.
Yeah,
5
but you
seconds
have
ago,
to-
yeah, he
you
was
have-
so
no,
integral
no,
to
no.
our team.
You have to remember, I was glazing Dean on Roblin's Goblins.
Oh,
before
he's
he,
dog shit
before he-
now.
No, not saying that. I still think he's better than most of the league, but I do think that uninstalling the game for 6 months and then like just
Randomly
completely
picking it back up.
completely away from the game, not even like watching or anything, like just completely away from the game entirely, and then just coming back and like having to figure everything out, and then on top of that, not having a like super lane dominant ADC paired with you, it's going to be a lot harder for him. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well,
We'll talk
yeah.
about that.
Moving on. Power of Friendship. I have him fifth in the group, just middle of the pack. Not sure who's really gonna be the carry on this team besides Psy. Sauce of Legends really question mark for me. Slot Maestro. Yeah, Slot Maestro was actually Throatzilla back in Throat Goat. Or I think that was the
What?
team. That was a team
What did
name.
you say?
Yeah. And
I want to leak something maybe.
oh.
I don't think Psy's gonna be their mid laner.
Oh.
I think Psy's gonna be their AD carry.
Oh.
And
Mm.
I'm thinking that because I have played with Psy as my AD carry, and I would say Psy is actually a really solid AD carry. I've played with them mid lane as well when I was subbing in for the Diamond Plus team. They were pretty solid at mid lane too. So I think they might have a flexibility thing going on with their team, and I think that might genuinely increase the odds of this team getting out of the group stage.
Yeah, when I DM'd them, when I DM teams, this is what the lineups that they gave me. So Psy was in the mid lane, so I put him there. So we'll definitely see.
Sorry for leaking, Psy.
All right, Psy.
Dog shit at AD carry. I didn't say it.
Psy, I would close your DMs with the array ASAP.
I mean, it would be kind of weird to have like a filled mid laner, filled ADC, like
Yeah.
I don't know. If I say that, but my team was doing weird shit last split. So
So you
it wasn't
have,
like weird shit. It was weird shit in between games. Like
yeah. So, but we gotta move on. Heading on to the next team, the Gauntlet.
I do want to say one other thing
All right.
quickly. I think David is the second best top laner in this group. I think
Oh, for
that
sure.
he can play carry top laners against basically everybody except Owen in this group, and so I do think that he can be a threat to like be a win condition for this team essentially for most of the matches.
Now that you mention it, look at the top lane pool in this
I know,
bracket.
that's what
It
I'm saying.
is
Owen is literally
cooked.
going to dumpster everybody. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah. So, moving on. I got the Gauntlet.
it's so cooked.
I actually have the Gauntlet first. It might be a little bit of a copium, but you know.
Oh yeah, Ryan, you and KibCat equal the same thing as Jungle, is what I'm hearing.
No. So this is what Kip Kat told me when I asked him about his lineup. He said, we're gonna be swapping lanes almost every game," is what he said. We're flexing everyone besides Neversaw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Sporadic's the best non-AD carry player I know.
Listen, man, that's what he told me. So,
I've never seen him do good on anything that's not ADC.
Oh
No
yeah,
offense.
is
I think
him
they're-
flexing, him subbing out? Is that the is that the flex?
I
I'm
don't know,
so
man.
flexible, guys. I'll go do
I'm
something
flexing to the
else.
bench. I'm going to the bench.
You see that bench? That's my seat right there.
No, but I can see. I don't know. This team is going to be.
It's so hit or miss for me, honestly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be crazy. How much do I
Never
want to
saw
say?
it's great, to
So
be honest.
never saw when she gets strong or when she is like played around is probably one of the best carry players that has ever been in Summit.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing is I think that she kind of requires that. If the team can't figure out how to play around her, she will kind of also be a grief player.
I was about to say, I think it's very interesting you have someone that good that is also sometimes a liability.
Yes. So it's like the thing is though is it's like you almost like have to accept it because she's so good that it makes you just want to play around her. Like you kind of accept the fact that like okay, like we should play around her because she's good enough to actually win us games, right?
Right.
Because otherwise you'd be probably like pissed off of like, oh, she just does whatever she wants, like we have to like sack our games and do, we have to completely play around her and enable her to carry us. Like that can be very frustrating sometimes, especially when another team can potentially have some kind of formula of like shutting her down in some kind of way, like they have something, some kind of plan that is effective against her, right? Like we've seen that happen before with the World Soup thing, right? Like
Yeah.
Right.
but that's the biggest question here is now, is this a team that can figure that out? Because all of regular season last split, it took us a while to figure it out. In fact, we didn't really have it figured out even going into playoffs. We figured it out during playoffs, like in the middle of series. Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like we just literally kind of just like eventually everything just kind of fell into place as we were playing. It wasn't like we had some kind of epiphany and we were like, oh, that's how it works, guys. Like we just kind of like just as we were playing, it was just like, okay, this is what's working, let's keep doing it type thing. Like
Yeah. One thing I want to say, I think Neversaw's, especially last season, from when they were in Gawr's team to where they were on PPP's team was night and day. Like the carry performance they put up, especially during finals, was incredible. I would love to see Neversaw versus Gumby Power. That is one of my things I am tuning right into. And then alternatively, I'm watching Neversaw versus World Soup to see if they can get over that curse.
I will also say that my other question is who's going to be the primary voice on this team? Because I will tell you right now, Neversaw can be a primary voice. However, she is only willing to do so and only really good at it when she is doing well in that specific game. If she is not doing well, like, and already very strong, she does not talk very much. She is not super vocal about the game, as like she's much quieter. But when she gets strong, she starts talking a lot more, starts dictating the state of the game, telling her what she wants, what she needs, essentially. And so that was kind of nice though, because for most of the games, I was the primary voice until she
Right.
kind of took over for most of the games, right? Once she felt strong enough, like, okay, now the game needs to be played around me, that was when she started talking a lot more.
Yeah.
Who is going to be that on this team? That's my next question. PPP was not it for our team. Will he do it for this team? I know Ethan is usually very good at dictating his own bot lane. Like Sporadic is very good at dictating the like state of his own lane. However, he's not, he's an ADC. He's focused on other things. He can't be watching what
Yeah.
KibCat in the top lane and everything. Like it's a lot harder, you know.
Right.
Yeah. What's he supposed to do? Give moral support while he's farming his creeps?
Yeah. So it's that's my biggest question is who is going to be the
The voice.
the leader of this team essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on, running out of time here. Year
sorry.
Dynasty. I have him third in the group. I think it's just gonna be the Loon and Big Dummy Show. I mean, I actually think this is gonna be a really cool bot lane to see.
I'm not a fan that their second best player is going to autofill in the jungle.
Mm-hmm. Honestly,
Yeah.
I would throw Dean
Yeah,
somewhere else.
Oh,
Just
really?
let him go to town. Like,
Maybe.
yeah, I think if you put Dean in jungle and then put Nerve in support and then you give evaps. I mean, Luton has shown that he can play from behind very well. He's a very good like weak side mid bot laner, so I would just keep him in that role and then have your top laner who wants to play a top lane, which is strong sided, which would be evaps as a champion pool for it, and then giving Big Dummy 69 the jungle role. I think would help that a lot. I don't.
The thing is, Dean doesn't want to jungle.
Yeah, I don't. Dean doesn't want to jungle.
I'm saying what could happen.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Happen.
Dean just does not want to jungle. He basically after not playing for a while wants to come back and go to what he is most comfortable doing. You know.
Right.
I get you. And I still think this team will find a good amount of success. I played with Flash, and he was never like, oh my god, this mid laner. I mean, he has a lot of mid laners that are gonna probably, if I'm being frank, probably shit on him. But I think he is a strong player individually, especially for his rank, and I think he will be willing to make the plays that are necessary for his team, and he's willing to play champions that are outside of what a mid laner wants to play. He will play those Lissandras, he will play the Gallios.
Personally, I think this is going to be a bottom 2 team.
Really?
Damn.
Interesting.
Yep.
All right, moving on. Our last team in Group B, Elo Surfers. I have them 6th in the group. I think it's just going to be Gumby and Sulpan. And then...
That's crazy to me. 6th? I think this is one of the better teams.
I
just, I'm looking at the bot lane, and I'm looking at the rest of the bot lanes is basically what I'm looking at. And then I don't think Isidak's the guy. He's not the guy.
He's not, but he doesn't need
Gold
to be.
4 top laner's the guy?
He doesn't need to be the guy.
And
he's a challenger mid laner. He'll be alright.
I understand it's a challenger mid laner.
I'm really hoping Gumby Power shows everybody what
Why do you think I
a
ranked
real
him first in
challenger
power
player is
games?
like.
Yeah.
Like, I want this league to see how absolutely insane actual challenger players are, and I really hope this guy completely comes in and just completely shows everybody this is he's playing a different game than us.
Yeah, when he got put on the other pool, I felt a lot more confident about my season, because this guy's unknown. The thing about mid laners never saw and mid too easy, you know what you're gonna get from them. You know how good they are. When you see a little C next to their name and their 0 cost, that might be some aura,
And I also think that this is the first time that Sulpan will have a player that is clearly better than him, and he doesn't feel the pressure to try to dictate the state of the game and make plays. Essentially, I feel like he will feel much more comfortable in that secondary backseat position to what Gumby Power is doing and what they want, and I think that this is going to be Sulpan's best season ever that he's ever had as a jungler. I genuinely think that this team is going to be very good. I think their bot lane, well, yes, they're not Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they're gonna be. I think they're gonna do just fine against most bot lanes. They're not gonna get hard shit on except against maybe one or two, and then it doesn't even matter though because I feel like their bot lane will do just well enough for Gumby Power and Sopan to make tons of plays and come down to bot lane and stop any kind of bleeding that is happening. I think they can easily just scrap the top lane. Doesn't matter. The top lane pool in this, or like, it's not strong anyway. So like outside of against Owen's team, like you're not really that worried about it, right? Like Owen is the only person in this whole group that is going to be a significant carry threat coming out of the top lane. So you don't even care if your top lane or how it's going up there. Like,
right.
I think this team is going to be very strong.
I also think for their costs, you know, I think Joe is actually a pretty solid player. I think he's very like mechanically strong for especially for his rank. The only thing I'm worried about is him just like running in and dying over and over. I just hope they don't like just throw the game for Gumby in a way. I think if they do what they need to do, this team is going to be good no matter what. I
will say, Affection and GamerD have the best synergy in my opinion coming into the season.
Yeah, they played together for like 3 years, right?
Yeah, something like they said, like I think like GamerD said on like the power rankings, he was like, yeah, we have like 500 games under our belt together. So I was like,
yeah, I think the only one that can match that is Goblin Altiris.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna say it's like in terms of synergy, Goblin Altiris are second, and then a first is got to be Affection GamerD. Those are my two picks. So, but let's move on to predictions. Starting off with Group A games, we have Summit Admins versus Bewear. Pretty split. I'm going Bewear, Venom's going Bewear, Brissy Array, and Logic going Summit Admins. Our second game, McMammals versus Gawr's first grade class. Everyone going, me and Logic going McMammals, and then everyone else is going the wrong team, I think. But, you know, maybe I'm biased. Trying to bring out that trophy, you know. And then Rookies and Cream versus
I'm being honest.
Sprinklrr Tinklrrs.
This is just like 3 coin flips, if I'm being honest. Like, how do you actually know anything?
I just
right
agree.
Now?
I mean, yeah, but you don't really know. But I think that I'm pretty confident in my picks.
How did we know GPR was going to win last season? You know,
no one knew.
You didn't think. Let's be real, Ryan. You didn't think that at the start of the season.
Until once we beat the Gauntlet. That was it took beating the Gauntlet to finally become confident in my team because I did not have confidence in my team at all. But it wasn't so much of like I didn't think that we could do it. Everything had shown that we wouldn't do it because I genuinely thought we were good enough to. We just weren't playing well at all at any point. Like we weren't playing together in any kind of way. Nobody was like, just everything was going wrong for us essentially. Okay. Until we kind of just figured it out.
Yeah, and then moving on to our last 4 games, we have our cross match, which is, I forgot to put.
Really
I forgot to put Brissy's prediction, but he did predict. Brissy did predict. Hang on. I'm gonna look it up.
What did he predict?
He predict. Hold up. Gators team. So he picked Alan and the Chipmunks. Here. We're gonna do some budget changes real quick. Holy shit, I'm fucking it up. Control C, Control V. Here we go. There you go. Hey, there it is. There's the prediction. Yes. 4 of us going with Alan and the Chipmunks, and then Logic, Wawa Warriors.
Yeah, can you show me the Wawa Warriors lineup so that I can remember why I picked them?
Here you go. Beartail, Morn, Azrael, Sphera.
I probably shouldn't have picked them.
All right, moving on. Moving on.
Lie, I kind of just coin flipped every fucking pick besides
and
my
then
own.
Elo Surfers versus the Gauntlet. Pretty split. Elo Surfers going 3, and me and Array going with the Gauntlet. We
similarly to Ryan, if I really sat down and thought about it and looked at the rosters, I probably would have picked the other team.
Yeah, I think Elo Surfers is one of the better teams in the whole league, so I'm pretty much always gonna pick them.
And they got a fire logo.
Yeah, they got. I think in like term of logos, I mean Sprinklrr Tinklrrs is gonna take that first spot because I just think it's hilarious. But anyways, moving on. Last game or last two games. Final boss versus Power of Friendship. Not a huge surprise here. Everyone going final boss. And then finally,
I don't know. People weren't very high on their team.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise. And then 1,000 Year Dynasty versus World Soup Center. And yeah, World Soup Center.
logo by World Soup Center.
They haven't given me a
Couldn't
logo.
even be asked.
Oh, there isn't a logo. Okay, gotcha.
They haven't given me a logo.
I just wish that was their logo.
It's just WSC, just WSC. Yeah.
That would be hard.
They haven't given me a logo, so they're just gonna be WSC for now. So, and yeah, that is gonna wrap up this episode of The Climb. Thank you, Logic and Array, for joining me this week. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah, and week 1, Saturday, October 19th. See you all there. Whoever's playing their games.
6, bro.
Huh? What?
That's a 6.
What's 6?
You said October 19th.
I'd rather be carried by
Yeah,
6
today's
than judged
October
by 12.
16th, but Saturday's October 19th.
Oh, you were saying when the matches were?
Yeah,
My
that's
bad.
what I said.
I thought you were saying what today's date was.
No, October, all the matches, or most of the
okay.
matches, I think, will be played on October 19th. So be prepared. Summit Esports at Twitch, or twitch.tv/Summit Esports. We'll stream a game, probably. Who knows? I'm just the content guy. I'm not the stream guy. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode of The Climb. See ya!
Oh my god, yeah.